I've been thinking about flip cameras a lot lately, probably on account of finding my own the other day. This thing was my first ever video camera, and I remember using it all the time to take all sorts of home movies. This thing was such a fun and unique little device from an age before everybody had cameras built directly into their smartphones. Honestly, I've been really enjoying messing with older cameras in general recently. Not too long ago, I picked up this Sony Handycam DCR SR45, and you may have even seen a couple of clips taken from this thing in some of my videos. I've also got a couple of older cameras in my room that I've just been meaning to buy replacement batteries or chargers for. Point is, when I found this thing, I was really excited to start it up again and start shooting video with it. And who knows, maybe even use it as some sort of daily carry. I mean, this thing is tiny, and I think the novelty of it is still really cool. Problem was, I left batteries in there for a while. I knew something was wrong as soon as I picked this thing up because there was crystallized blue residue all over the front casing coming out of the battery compartment. The wrist strap port even had a little bit in there, and as soon as I opened it up, the problem was super clear. I had left batteries in there since at least 2018, and things weren't looking too good. I was optimistic though, because I've dealt with this sort of thing before with game consoles. I've had a couple Game Boys that had battery acid leak and just various sort of electronics that I was able to clean out just fine and get working again. The only difference with this one was I had never seen it turn blue before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. Regardless, I took it downstairs, cleaned it up a bit, put some new batteries in, and nothing. I couldn't get it to turn on. Later on, I tried cleaning it again a little bit more with some other solution. I cleaned the contacts a bit more, and they were a little bit cleaner, so I had hope it would work. I took new batteries, put them in again, still nothing. I tried a tinfoil trick that I read online, nothing worked. Nothing that I tried could get this thing turning on again. And that's such a shame, to be honest. This thing has so much sentimental value to me, and I would have loved to be able to boot it up again, see what videos I have on here, and just kind of use it for fun again. To be fair, I haven't used it since about 2018, but I didn't want to just throw it on a shelf again or put it in a drawer. So that's not what we're going to be doing. Instead, we're going to be turning this camera into an art piece. My first idea was to do a complete teardown of this thing and frame it. Sort of like how you see people do with old Game Boys, handhelds, or other various controllers or peripherals. That idea didn't last too long though, because to be honest, I'd feel kind of bad taking this thing apart, and after thinking about how much corrosion was probably still on the boards inside, something told me that probably wasn't a good idea. I still really liked the framing aspect of that idea though, so I ran with that instead. So that's the direction we're going to take here. After a fairly quick search online, I was able to find a frame that would fit this thing perfectly, and now knowing this was all possible, I threw together a quick mock-up in Photoshop. Originally, I was just going to go with a solid color background, but while I was scripting this, I actually wound up messing with a couple of other design ideas, and I think this thing looks pretty cool with a photo of New York in the background. You probably also noticed the shelf that this thing's sitting on. And while I could just glue this thing to the back of the frame, I really don't want to do anything non-reversible to this camera, so I figured a shelf is the better way to go. The plan here is to take a block of wood, cut it down to size, stain the whole thing black, and then drill a tripod bolt off to the side so I could screw the tripod in. I also had the idea of velcroing the shelf onto the frame instead of gluing it, because the frame's depth is too shallow to be able to rotate the camera while it's still in there. So that way I can still take everything apart if I ever need to. So now we have a plan. Even though I've only got basic mock-ups done, I'm still really excited with how everything's coming together, and I can't wait to have this thing hanging on my wall as a cool little display piece of memories of the past, really. So now all that's left to do is order everything and wait. Okay, so I am gonna be honest here. I had a whole plan for this video. I took the camera, I took measurements of the camera, I took measurements of the frame, I sort of tried to figure out the whole shelf idea that I had. I even recruited my dad to help build that shelf because I have no woodworking experience whatsoever. And we had this whole plan going forwards. That being said, when this frame came, I put the camera inside. I opened it up, like I'm doing right now. I opened it up. I laid the camera flat down. I don't know if that's in shot right now. I'm kind of hoping it is, but I laid the camera flat down. I put it on top, which for some reason it's not really going on right now. Let me just make sure it wasn't open. I laid the frame right on top of it like this, and I kind of just lifted it up in the air. And as you could see, it stays on its own. So it's kind of moving right now because it's not closed all the way, but it turns out that this is the perfect thickness where the glass is just kind of slightly pushing against the sort of protrusion of the lens right here. So it holds it in place by itself. So all of that planning was basically for nothing. I do think that works out a lot better for this. I do think it looks nicer just kind of floating on its own. So this video is gonna be a lot shorter than I expected. But that's okay because we still get to build our project. So everything's printed out now and ready to go. And going with what seems to be the theme of the video at this point, things didn't wind up going to plan. You see, the first print on glossy paper, I forgot to uncheck the color print option. So things turned out a little green and not as deep of blacks and grays as I wanted. The third print I had to wind up doing on just plain paper because I ran out of glossy paper. And the second print got split between two photos, and it made it sort of look like a Polaroid where there was more space on the bottom than the top. But that does give me an idea. It's hard to believe that it's been so long since I first got this camera. This was the device that got me started on my video making journey, and I think that this project is a perfect tribute to that. Sure, things may have not gone exactly according to plan, and I might have had to improvise on a thing or two, but honestly, improvisation is exactly how I made those first ever videos with this camera. There was never a script, there was never a perfect plan. There was only a kid, a camera, and a head full of wild, wacky ideas. And in a way, I think that the improvisational nature that this project wound up taking on is a perfect reflection of those early days of making videos. Things couldn't have turned out better in the end. Now, every time I see this hanging on my wall, I can think back to where it all started. So thank you, Flip Camera, and thank you for watching.